And before you is what we're calling the Hope Card. It wasn't our idea. There's a wonderful, brave lady behind me that's going to tell you all about places that already do this and how it would benefit her. But let's just cut to the chase. Right now, if you have a domestic violence protection order, you have to carry a large document with you that has a stamp affixed to it that you have to officially get through the court clerk. I actually experienced a little bit of that because I'm raising my young grandchild, and we call it our passport. If we're going to go to a different country, we have to have that paperwork with us. And if we forget that paperwork, then we have to go back to the house because you can't travel without that. With this, the domestic violence protection orders are all too many times unenforceable unless you have the paperwork if you're not in the local jurisdiction where it's regularly enforced. So what this bill does is it says that big packet of stuff that domestic violence sufferers or survivors have to carry around, can we miniaturize it? Can we make it small enough to fit in their purse? To make their passport less burdensome? Could it be in a place that they always carry around where their wallet, their driver's license, and all that sort of thing is in? We tried not to be too prescriptive. We said, administrative offices of courts, could you do this and could you figure out how to do this? And with that, I will submit to any of your questions.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the sponsor? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Representative Davis, do you wish to say something, or are you all right? You're here for moral support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly for the record, State Representative Lauren Davis from the 32nd District, and thank you for the opportunity to support my colleague's bill. First of all, just want to thank Rep. Griffey for demonstrating both in word and in deed that he not only sees survivors of domestic violence, but that he stands with us, and I'm deeply grateful for that. So in this state, 20,000 times every year, a judge issues a protection order pledging the state's protection to a victim of domestic violence. Up to 60% of those orders are violated. In 2021, that happened nearly 15,000 times in the state of Washington. Research indicates that violations of a domestic violence protection order are an indicator of stalking and a significant risk factor for reassault and for intimate partner homicide. I cannot underscore enough the importance of ensuring that these orders are taken seriously and that victims are protected and abusers are held accountable, and this bill helps us get there. So thank you so much.
Thank you. The ranking member has a question.
Thank you. Rep. Griffey, my only concern here is there any chance that possessing this card could single an individual out for some sort of bad reaction, bad treatment by others who might see it?
So I don't see that. They have to carry a packet of paper with them everywhere they go, Rep. Walsh. This is just saying that packet that they have to carry, let's make it this big so it fits into their wallet. It's kind of a passport to hope, right? So this is a group of people that have absolutely been ran ragged. All of the advantages are to the abusers. We provide attorneys for them, so many things. And this is an advantage that they can have. They can have an easy passport to their life to make this more enforceable. So I don't see that as something that can be done. It just takes that giant piece of paper, that packet, and makes it smaller. And one last statement, the administrative office of the court said that there was some minor technical language. Representative Graham has already agreed to run that as an amendment. Draft legislation has come, draft language has come forward. I'd appreciate everyone on this committee supporting this, and please listen closely to the testimony by the dear brave people behind us, and thank you to this dear brave lady that sits next to me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Further questions? Okay, thank you very much. Let's hear public testimony. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got...
Oh, sorry, hold up. Take it back. Somebody else has a question. Cheney, come back. You're not excused. I take it back. Sorry about that. Representative Cheney, please.
Thank you. Brief question. Thank you for bringing this bill forward. Would you consider a friendly amendment somehow that the administrative office of the courts or some other funding entity other than the local courts and local jurisdictions would be responsible for preparing and funding these cards? Thank you.
Well, at this time, we're going to fund it. And we said in this bill that that funding would give them an original card, and then they would give them one backup card. So we said we're going to do 2 of them initially. And I think that is our responsibility as a state. And I mean, anything to make the bill better, I would consider, but I think we got the bill pretty much where it needs to be.
Great, thank you. Further questions? Okay, now you really are excused. Thank you for your patience, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In person, we've got 2 folks. We've got Jamie Sullivan and Derek Sanders. Feel free to come on up.
All right, proceed in whatever order you wish.
Thank you. My name is Jamie Sullivan. I'm a mom, teacher, and coach. I'm also a domestic violence stalking survivor with a permanent order of protection, and I'm here to support the Hope Card bill already in place in 5 other states, started in Montana within tribal court systems. I was going to tell you my story of the events leading up to receiving my order, events that I did not think I would survive, but I want to instead first tell you about local mom, daughter, sister, friend, and Nisqually tribal member, Rayanne Perez. Yesterday would have been Rayanne's 22nd birthday, but she was murdered by her boyfriend right before Christmas. Her loved ones still grieve and fight for justice. Her mom, Robbie, wanted you to know that she was an amazing and beautiful daughter and mom. I wanted to speak her name aloud in this place where laws of protection are made. She matters, and she was worth protecting. We all are. The system is not easy to navigate for victims and survivors, and we need to do better, all of us, myself included, to prevent and combat domestic violence, which makes up half of crimes against persons in our state. This bill would make it easier and more discreet to carry our paper order on a laminated card that fits in our wallets or given to our kids' schools, since many of us have our children, my daughter is here with me today, covered in our domestic violence orders of protection, hence the need for duplicate cards. Sorry. So it would make it more discreet and easier to carry than a larger paper order. And if you could only imagine children who have to carry this order of protection as well, anybody who's ever had a child or been a child knows how difficult it is for kids to keep their math homework intact for 2 days in a backpack. Could you imagine an order of protection? A wallet card is a safe, practical, cost-effective solution, and it helps victims better communicate with police if we have to call for help, as the Montana Sheriff's Association found. This ensures that we don't have to leave our orders home in a safe place to protect them when they should in fact be protecting us and on our person. From 2018 to 2021, 83,000 protection order cases were filed in Washington. Behind each order, there is a story of fear, stress, trauma, and exhaustion, and post-traumatic stress. But each order represents also a little bit of hope, not in the paper itself, but in the system that backs it. Please work for this bill and for bills for all crime victims to show that that hope is not misplaced. This bill is not revolutionary or partisan. It's just a small patch to fill a gap in the system. But that's important because every time a gap exists, a woman or a young person falls through. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Please.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Derek Sanders. I am the Thurston County Sheriff. I am here to express my extreme support for House Bill 1766. Normally when I come in and testify before committees, I usually take a victim-centric approach, but I'm going to be a little selfish today and talk about the benefits for law enforcement in this bill. There has been a legislative swing towards moving towards probable cause for police officers to work with as opposed to reasonable suspicion. And so one of the struggles that we have oftentimes with protection orders is that the time it takes from the time the person calls and says their order is being violated, by the time our records division can confirm that order for us, time. And one thing domestic violence victims don't have is time. And so, especially when House Bill 1310 passed a few years ago and it limited our use of force to reasonable suspicion, we had a big problem with protection orders. We would get on scene and someone, if they weren't actively fighting the victim, we couldn't put our hands on them. We couldn't touch that person. We couldn't arrest them. The victim is screaming that there's an order in place and we're like, the records division is searching. give us some time. Meanwhile, they're now hopping fences and running away. So I understand that House Bill 1310 has been fixed, but as the intent of this state continues to push towards probable cause and not reasonable suspicion, this fills a void for us as law enforcement. The ability for us to come on scene and have a standardized card to look at and say, that is a valid order served by the court and we're good to go, probable cause. That's what we'll act on. So I look at the burden that domestic violence victims carry, not just in this state, but in this country. And I do agree with Representative Griffey and Jamie here that condensing this is going to be extremely important, making it something they can easily carry around and something that is easily verifiable by law enforcement. My one request is whatever changes are made to the bill, that we have a standardized card across the state so that we can protect victims in Pierce County, just like we do in Thurston. So thank you very much, and I hope that you guys will pass this bill.
Thank you. Questions from the panel?